All right, so let's say you jump into a game and your role looks like dog. It looks awful. Um, you don't know what you're going to do with it, right? The thing I always look for is what's my consistent opener. If you're sitting in a situation where you have no real idea how you can synergize all of this Pierce or low cost, there's no synergy with Warg. You don't really have an opener with Desert Pilgrim. You're sure as heck not going to go Great Boar on one with it. Where are you going with this build? I think the best possible thing you could do is look for your consistent opener. What can get you through the most waves with the least value given, the least value gained, etc. So in my opinion here, you either have Sky Queen or you have Sand Badger. I think Sand Badger will get you through 2-4 pretty easily in this spot. Or you could theoretically go Sky Queen. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to just poor perceived roles is understanding what your best possible chance is to still worker push and have a chance to hold your coming weak waves. So in that situation, usually high cost openers tend to be your play. If you have a bad roll, for instance, and you don't know necessarily what to do with it, I wouldn't option to go for a Warg 5 worker open or a Wild Shroom 5 worker open or a Chain Fist 5 worker open. Because you're not going to know how to transition on 3. You're not going to know how to transition on 4 if you've already leaked 2 and if you've already leaked 3, right? You need to play to your strength and to your value preposition here. Anyway, so Sand Badger, for instance, in this role, you've got Harpy here. Let's say we get another YOLO roll here, and you're not comfortable with Poda for an open, and you really you're worried about going Angler because you never played Angler well. It's one of those things you got to find what works then for you in that individual role, and find like, okay, with this role, I've got a ton of magic damage, and I'm really worried about wave 14, and that's way off in the future, right? But if you're worried about a specific wave, you understand that you're bad on a specific wave. You've got opportunities to end the game earlier than that wave, right? Troll obviously pointing out Grarl into Firelord, which is a good option here, but let's pretend you don't know how that works. You don't know how Firelord works, and you're nervous about it. And even then, obviously, I'd say this role is not super great to support you on 7 with something like Firelord after Grarl play. So maybe you're really nervous about wave 7. So what you can do is, let's say you do this here. You go Grarl and you go get Firelord down, and okay, I'm good all the way until wave 7. What you can do to help yourself on wave 7, for instance, and make it easier for yourself to hold, is maybe you send on wave 3 and then you save until 6. You try to force them to send you earlier. I think this is a really common misconception that people have, is like, oh, I'm bad on wave 7. Let's just income all the way to 7. Well, if the enemy understands what they're doing, they might be able to save longer on you. Right? They might be able to save longer on you to punish you on the wave you're bad on if you income send every single wave. But what you could theoretically do is you can force them to need to send earlier. So, you're Firelord, you've got great value 1 through 6. You feel great. The Grarl there to help you shift around. You've got great answers with Warg, so they can't kill you on 4 and 5. You're feeling great about your consorts, whatever it may be. Don't send them on 3. Don't send them on 4 or 5. Make them sweat. You're going to have a pretty good worker push with the Firelord. If they send you on 5 and you don't leak, and you didn't send there, and you make them feel a little queasy, you might be able to get them really well into this mindset of, okay, we got to income send now. So they might send you on 6. They may give you a free hold then going into 7 just because you haven't sent. And you have to play those mind games when you're not super strong on a specific wave. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is knowing, okay, when am I strong? When am I weak? How does it all work, right? But you can quite easily take this chart here and say, okay, I'm looking through here. I've got 1, 2 natural. I've got an arcane tank, I guess, if you know how to place Poda, but you're not going to place Poda and Firelord. It doesn't work that way. Your T1's natural, so you've got Angler, not great for 7, especially when you don't really have anything to support you to keep it alive, to do anything, right? Angler is much more of a early game bonus tool if you can get a Kingpin with some stacks. I really wouldn't recommend going, Bounty Hunter on 7 to support your Firelord, right? So look for those opportunities to force things. Look for those opportunities to give yourself advantages. Look at your roles, right? See Swift, Arcane. Neither of these guys are necessarily going to tank well if you don't know positioning. So you've got Grarl as a tank, Warg as a tank. Those are your 2 tank options, both natural, right? And then, like, let's say with this role, right? This role, let's say Millennium doesn't exist here. Let's say Millennium doesn't exist here, and this is your role. Where's your late game? You don't have one. So let's say, okay, we cut off Millennium. Oh shoot. Nope, no, that didn't work. Millennium doesn't exist. Yep. Millennium doesn't exist. Perfect, chat. Millennium doesn't exist, right, in this role. Where's your late game damage? You don't have any. So you need to try to force an earlier game, right? You need to force their hand much sooner in this lobby because you don't have the ability to really scale late game, right? You have a Steed with nothing to boost. You've got a pretty good delay tank, but no main tank in this role, unless you can get eggs out, which currently you have no option to get eggs out with this role. Your T1s are okay. You might be able to go Proton instead of Polywog here to give your Steed something to boost early and giving you some early game. But at the end of the day, like, this role, Millennium, you really have no options. So in this situation, you might want to go for more of an all-in play pre-10. You might want to go Ascend on 1, Send on 3, and then save 3 to 9. You might say, okay, that's a good opportunity for me to leak them there. You might want to go, okay, I open with Gargoyle and push just really hard. I've got a good role to support my Gargoyle in the early game, and we're just going to push like crazy. And you push, and you've got 8 workers on 5, 9 workers on 5, 10 workers on 5, and then you sit there and you save, right? You force them again to make decisions that are difficult. Then you save, 5 to 10, and you go all in. You really go hard on them on 10. Maybe you go 9, right? Because you notice that they have a distinct lack of tanks for 9, right? You have a lot of opportunities in this role to play aggressive early because you have good early game units. Gargoyle into Green Devil, super good early game. You could even take Aqua here. So let's say we dropped this, we go this route. We got Aqua to give us some options. Firelord open, aggressive openers that allow you to push hard, right? So there's options here, but it's not always going to be super easy to play with a bad quote unquote role, right? You need to find those good openers. You need to find consistency in those good openers, and then try to exploit what your role is good at. If you've got a really good late game, try to take the game late. If you've got a really good early game, try to end the game early. Try to gain an advantage from that early game to end it mid, right? 1 through 10, your role looks solid, but 11 through 15, you look suspect. Income a lot, try to scale really hard 1 through 10, and then go heavy on 14 then after a 10 send. I don't know. There's just options, right? And you need to find those abilities in your roles. And so check out my role selection video that will be out here shortly, and maybe that will help you guys choose some options going forward. Otherwise, like, subscribe. Catch you guys next time.